So welcome, everybody. My name is Felicia Rubenstein. I am the Chief Collaborator at HAYVN. And HAYVN is a co-working space based in the heart of Fairfield County. And we have 4 pillars of focus. We focus on women, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, and sustainability and social impact. And when all that blends together, it's like a perfect fit for our community. We actually, I should say too, we do have a lot of men in the space, but we're winning forward in terms of our programming. But again, we work on wherever you are in your personal and professional journey. So one of the initiatives that in the of COVID was very important to me was to focus on the sustainability and social impact world. And we became a B Corp with the help of Alexis Brooks and Carrie McDevitt and Jen Gorin, who are members of HAYVN, and they helped us go through all the checkpoints to make sure that we fit into this world of sustainability and social impact. And being part of the community is wonderful, and I just love what's happening in Connecticut in this area, and we're happy to be part of it. And doing these types of programs is how we are trying to reach out and help people in our community pull together. So I'm really excited about today. What I want to do is turn it over to Lisa Manager, who is a member of HAYVN and has been her and Sam Cherubin, who is on virtually, and Heather Burns have helped us create some great programming in the community. So
thank you, Felicia. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and certainly virtually as well. And we're excited here to show what will be a very high impact discussion on that broad point of conscious consumerism. But before we get into that, just a few brief points of sustainability with HAYVN. We had a fairly diverse level of themes under this broad point of sustainability as well. And so you'll see that on the website. We have the last one, which is on water stewardship. The one before was living the circular economy lifestyle. We had one on growing nature through interior design through biophilia. So that's just a taste of some of the themes we've had in the past that are recorded. And you can see what we have also on the calendar for the fall. And so starting back to conscious consumerism, as we know, again, that's a very broad topic. But with our speakers here, we'll have it defined in different ways in terms of how we can integrate it in our lifestyle, both, of course, at work and at home. And so with that being said, I'll turn it over to Silvina.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, HAYVN. Thank you, HAYVN, for giving us a platform to talk about this passionate topic, and to Gavin and Briana for coming here today. So we're going to be talking about the changes that we can make in our lives to become more conscious consumer and the power of conscious consumerism really change and transform our lives. So today we have, I'm super excited that we have 2 amazing speakers, Briana and Gavin. They bring years of experience, knowledge, and commitment, and I'm sure they're going to share insightful and interesting information on how we can activate our budget opportunities. So without further ado, I'm going to present them. Gavin, I have you here first. So our first panelist, Gavin, will take us on a personal transformation journey. He will share how he underwent a profound shift in his consumption habits and lifestyle to align them with his deeply held values. Gavin will also enlighten us on how he successfully translated this commitment into his professional life, integrating it conscious consumerism and being conscious in his own company, and also by serving as the chair of conscious capitals. And Briana Hart, whose innovative vision led her to create a unique market HAYVN, which is an online platform that serves as a bridge to connecting conscious consumers like Gavin with companies that share the same values. And Briana's entrepreneurial spirit and dedication to fostering meaningful connections will provide invaluable insights into how conscious consumerism can be facilitated through market solutions. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the conversation. And we'll start with you, Briana. So what does it mean for you to be a conscious consumer?
So I think it's really important that think about it not just as sustainability. I think about it sustainability and social impact. Because there are so many ways that companies and brands can bring value outside of just sustainable packaging. And there was a pretty graph up here. Sort of think about it across 6 categories, and planet friendly and sustainable packaging is one part of the total picture. But founder identities, supporting different types of founders we know can make real economic impact, can create jobs, and I can talk about that later. Giving and governance, a lot of companies are B Corps and also give back to nonprofits, and that's something that we want to know about and support as well as we're looking to buy products and brands. Point of origin, right now we're making it really easy to understand and shop made in the USA, if that's important to you. The ingredients is something EWG certified. Does it not include harmful ingredients? I think that's also part of being conscious. Ethical production, cruelty-free, fair trade. You want to know that every part of the process of the product that you're buying is ethical. And finally, planet friendly, and that can be vegan for some people, that can also be sustainable packaging. But all together, I think these 6 categories make up being a conscious consumer. And you can care about all of them. You can care about one thing in particular. We just think everyone has their own personalized profile, and you should be able to easily execute that when you're shopping.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is that we all have our own sets of values, and if we can customize the way we shop, the way we act according to what we believe, that is part of being a conscious consumer, right? It's not just about the quantity, but really acting upon what is really important to us.
Absolutely.
And translating that into our purchase actions.
Absolutely.
So Gavin, you've been doing that for 20 years. You're a pioneer on this. So can you help us understand what's been your journey? What were your struggles in these 20 years? If you saw anything changing for good, and what were the trade-offs that you had to do in your personal life, in your lifestyle, to really accommodate to what is there?
Sure, yeah, but there definitely have been a lot of, obviously a lot of changes. And a lot of things have been better, and really because there is this conscious consumerism movement, that's been driving this whole thing. I don't know if how many people remember, but like there used to be a company in Westport called Food for Thought. It's an organic food place, right? And my wife and I lived in Norwalk first, then we moved to Ridgefield, and we drive all the way down to Food for Thought or go to some farmer's market or something to get some organic, food. And that was it was really hard to do, but because there was clearly, like the consumers who really were interested in that, there were a lot of people, got excited about it, and the bigger Stop and Shop and those other groups finally woke up and said, hey, we're missing out a bunch of business, and then moved the thing along. And it's really driven by those conscious consumers who, saw that this was a thing, went to the farmers markets, went to, to places like Food for Thought, and made that whole thing, work. So, yeah, I think that has been really important for driving this whole movement. And yeah, there's been, trade-offs along the way. For whatever reason, I got somewhere in the 70s, and then I really got into the whole energy saving thing. I think it was having to sit in fuel lines with my father's Ford Montego wagon, which literally got like 6 miles per gallon. On odd and even days during the Arab oil embargo and that kind of thing. I was like, this is just nuts. But so years later, I really wanted to have zero carbon footprint commuting to work. So and there was no, this was in the 90s, there was nothing available. So I built my own electric car, bought a kit and bought a 1973 Porsche 914 and, super lightweight, reasonably aerodynamic car, converted it, that sort of thing. So, but there's, lots of times I'm like on the bleeding edge trying to push the thing along and get the whole thing, started. But, now, we have electric cars, you can just go out and buy one, which is fabulous. So yeah, things really moving on.
I found that story fascinating. I was like, I hope you're gonna talk about that, but like, how cool is it that he built his own electric car?
Yeah, you haven't seen these boats yet.
Yeah.
Right? And that is really like being a conscious consumer at heart. And you said there were some trade-offs, right? Like along the way, but and there's like improvement, not just on the energy efficiency, like electric cars, but like on a broader, I think, offer of products that right now we have, and sometimes we are not aware, right? So I guess what Briana's proposal of fiberless marketplace is what is amazing, because it's trying to build that bridge of like, how can we access all these products that if we care about them, we want to support. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Skverer and why you decided to, to build the marketplace and what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve with the marketplace?
Sure. So, I mean, I came from Wall Street and I was focused on ESG investing. And, that's not very accessible to really anyone outside of corporations. And I view consumerism, we all are buying something every single day. And we can have a really big impact. It just, as we're spending $10 a day. And so if my theory was, if this information is really hard to find in the marketplace, you have to do hours of research, you have to build your own car, it should be more accessible to everybody, regardless of your lifestyle, your personal beliefs, what you want to support in your budget. And so set out to say, okay, this should be very personal, it should be accessible to everyone. We'll take all that research, hours of research, if you want reef safe sunscreen, and we'll boil it down to one marketplace where you type in sunscreen and everything is reef safe. If you want it to be cruelty free as well, you click cruelty free, great, it's there. Like, we want to save people time, which is one of the biggest barriers to entry for being a conscious consumer. And we also want to debunk the myth that you have to pay more to buy sustainably or to be a conscious consumer. You just don't. You can buy cruelty-free lip gloss that's $2 for Wet n Wild, $4 for a plastic-free lip balm, that's plant-based, that's over there, or $30 for a Kosas cruelty-free lip gloss. You choose what you want that suits your lifestyle, but you don't have to sacrifice, and you don't have to not buy cruelty-free if you only want to spend $2. So it was really important to me that this whole concept was made accessible to everyone, because studies show that there is a real economic impact if we all do this just with $10 a day. So there was a study done on a microcosm of the market that said, if you spend just $1 out of every $10 at a Black-owned business, it has the net effect of 1 million new jobs that would be created every year. And that's because you're redirecting dollars from, Amazon to a small business. You're redirecting those dollars, and they're now hiring more employees and creating jobs, and that's net new jobs in the economy. So think about what we could do if we're supporting, any of these values, any type of founder, we could have a real economic impact. And I think for me, what was important in launching this is it needs to be accessible to absolutely everyone. It needs to be easy.
Yeah, so what you say is that most of the time there's not what is called like a green premium, right? For this product. Right. There's a misconception that everything that is organic, that is green, that is more conscious, it comes with like a higher price. And that, of course, is like marketing, right? Pointing into one type of group of consumers, but if we're really connected to our values, there's ways to really activate that.
Right. And I also think, so for me, everything is maybe a little bit of a conflict. Like, we have a huge gas guzzling SUV because I have a whole bunch of kids, and we also have an electric car. And so I'm not going to necessarily go straight to bamboo everything, but what I can do is buy is help reduce the cosmetic industry problem. And so I can buy kind of reusable bamboo makeup containers instead of buying plastic makeup containers. Just small things here and there over time, if all of us do it, make a big difference. But again, that's where I think it's really personal, and we need to meet every consumer where they are. And support what everyone believes in, not try to push an agenda for what is social impact or sustainability to you guys, because everyone in this room wants to support something probably slightly different.
Which is fine because we
Yeah.
both have our own set of values and priorities, and like even they change over time. So we can decide to support like planet friendly products now, and in a couple of years we have something that changes in us, and we're like really into like ethical production. Like me, after having my job now, I kind of like I really look at cruelty, animal cruelty on the products, because I cannot even picture her suffering. So like there's certain things in life that change the way you you interact. So I guess what we were saying is that there's a deep relationship between us activating our consumerism and the impact it has on this business that are trying to meet us where we are. So one of the things that we were discussing with Gavin a couple of days ago was, are companies listening to these consumers, what they need, our concerns, like what are we looking for? And so I guess there's like an interaction, like a win-win situation between this group of conscious consumers and these conscious companies, that if we don't support each other, like companies listening and consumers supporting these companies, then we're not going to be able to generate that change. So how can you expand on that?
Sure.
On
Yeah.
so the conscious capitalism, like
Yeah.
see.
So I think a really good example of this is, I was looking for a heat pump for my house. And, the heat pumps are being provided and installed by people who typically would do air conditioning, or maybe install a gas furnace or something like that. So it's an older industry. It's not like a brand new heat pump industry that, it's an older industry, and all of a sudden there's this new interest in this thing. And something that's much more environmentally friendly, lower carbon footprint sort of option. But the people who are running those companies don't really 100% get that. So it's funny, like, I had 3 different companies come to my house to talk about stuff, and each one of them tried to sell me, actually two out of the 3 tried to sell me like a gas furnace thing, because my thing is, my old furnace is 25 years old. It's gonna die. And I know that I won't have time to put in the system that I want, I'll just it'll die in February, and we'll just have to stick another one in, and then I'll be stuck with another thing, that's gonna have a 20-year life, on it. And, that's way too long, if there's no time for the climate, thing for that. So I want to get the right thing installed, right. But like that was my motivation, but they're, it's like, oh, well, this would be cheaper. You should go for this, or you don't need this, or this won't work, and that kind of thing. And I'm like, no, these do work, and they will go down to, these temperatures and that sort of thing. So it was just one of those things where, actually myself as a consumer, I knew more in some ways than they did. And so I was educating them, but they weren't listening, like, to like what it was that I wanted and why I wanted it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity sometimes, and the same thing with car dealers and electric cars. I bought a car, Hyundai Ioniq 5 a couple of years ago, and as soon as they came out, and the salespeople knew nothing about the cars or anything, and I was educating them, and the guy was saying, and there's an app for like finding charging stations. I'm like, yeah, it's this ABRP app, and then you can put your route in, tell where you want to go, and all put all the charge. He's like, oh wow, that's really cool. It's writing all these notes down, and everything that, so I'm helping him out. So there's a lot of things that can move this along if the company actually stop and listen, so there's just huge opportunities. And there's obviously lots of entrepreneurs out there who know that people are interested in things, and marketing and paying attention and creating new things, for these, consumers interested in these things. But there's those older industries that are just having, a hard time making the pivot. you know, getting it, that there's a whole new, for the first, for the first air conditioning company that like gets this, like in their area, they will do really, really well. There's a solar company up in Maine that I've used called Revision Energy. We have a place up in Maine, and they put solar panels in the house. And they also sell heat pumps and battery systems and things like that. And I guarantee you they will do better. They will outperform selling heat pumps than the regular heat pump guys, the air conditioning guys will, because they're somebody's paying for a solar panel on the house. Absolutely, they're gonna be interested in a heat pump. These people are, that's what they're interested in. The other guys are gonna miss out.
Okay. It's interesting because you touch on two things that I think are super important. One is that this conscious consumer like you are super passionate and committed to their values. So, right, so like you sometimes like, and most times, like you know even more than these companies. And the second thing that you touched on was on these companies that are like really connecting to these consumers, that are gonna be probably outperforming like regular companies if they are not listening, right? So
Opportunity there, yeah.
so there's like opportunities for disruptors, right? Like for disruptors, for entrepreneurs, for small businesses that want to get like a part of the pie on consumers to offer something different. And I think Briana probably is an expert on that, and she brought here some samples from cool companies that are doing amazing things. And maybe you want to share a little bit about that before we can do like some reflective exercise on values.
Sure, and I just brought, kind of a variety of different brands, and, I've been fortunate enough to be on the phone as we onboard them with, over 75 founders. And what I love is meeting these founders because, they all have their brand profile and what they care about. And some of them have been so passionate too. They're not fine, they'll make their product, they're going to make shampoo, but they're like, this packaging that's available to me in the marketplace doesn't meet my values. So they'll go create packaging as well. So two brands in particular, well, three that I'll highlight. One, someone just created the first box shampoo, Skip Jen, actually one of the co-founders is in Oak Greenwich, so you may know this. They have the first box shampoo, and it's 95%, 97% less plastic. So it's helping reduce the 100 billion ton a year cosmetic trash problem. There is another founder who lives down in Charleston who creates EWG friendly, very like the highest standards for clean. And again, it didn't find the packaging she wanted. So she went out and created plastic negative packaging made out of ocean recycled plastic. So every package that she produces, even though it's plastic, is actually taking plastic out of the environment instead of contributing to the problem. And again, there's another one over there, Eco Lips. They've created the first plant-based plastic-free lip balm container. So what I found so interesting is that, and I actually just pointed out three that were packaging based. Each one of these founders just has a different story about something that they care about, and they care so much about it. These are like founding teams that are less than 5 people, that they will change manufacturing in order to meet their own personal standards, because that's how they want to bring this product out into the world. There is a Black-owned business that's 3 doctors, and it's called Natural Radiant Life. It's this amazing hand cream. It's vegan, and it's $10 a bottle. And I was like, you can charge more for this. It's the best hand cream I've ever had. She's like, no, I want it to be accessible to everyone. The point is that it's clean. It should be $10, and I want everyone to be able to buy it. She's actually based in Stanford. And so you can, again, you can support any type of business. And it's probably multiple values that you want to be supporting. And all of them have put their whole personal passions into their product. And what we want to do is just make it very easy for you to understand what they're all about all at once, as you're going to buy these products, because each of these founders has such an interesting story. Did I answer your
Yes,
your question?
yes, because I think like combining what you were saying and what Gavin was saying before is for these businesses to really attract these consumers, they need to be listening, right? They need to be activating, and that's one of the things that we always say with Soledad, she's here, my business partner, to our clients, is that if we want to reach out to these consumers, they really need to understand first where their values, what they stand for, to have like a clear message, and then they can generate that impact in those consumers that can increase their loyalty, right? So, that's an interesting thing. So I guess, here we wanted to touch base on two things. Is one, for us on our personal life, how we can activate our conscious consumers if we really want to drive change, and two, at work, how can we expand our businesses to reach out to this rise of consumers, because there's more and more. I mean, 30 years ago, it was just Gavin and probably a bunch that wanted electric cars, but now you have like every major car producer trying to build electric cars because they rate the audience. So we wanted to try a full exercise. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's try.
Okay.
Right?
You guys are
Anyway,
getting paid.
it's kind of right, voila. So we're gonna take
Website, though, that you have to pull up.
okay, we wanna do a little poll. Because I guess to start activating again our conscious consumer, we need to be in tune with what is important to us now.
So I think if there's a, so I sent you the link with the QR code. This doesn't work, that's okay. Everyone should be able to find this QR code and fill it out. Did I send you the website or not?
I just have this link, I'm so sorry.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Dude, is here.
Maybe
Is this the one?
Is it a piece of paper? No, not that one.
Oh, that's it.
Mentini.
That's all right, we might scrap it. Yeah, unless I can find this for the, I don't have any service.
Let list, can we have the list of values here?
Oh, yes.
We're gonna do it like as a poll. We have the idea of really understanding as a statistic, what we were interested in, but at least to have take time to do the exercise on what we care, what is important for us now. Because this is like the first step into becoming a conscious consumer or becoming a conscious leader within your business is really staying in tune with what you care, and then trying to activate that, trying to put processes, systems in place within your business and in your life to act upon your values. Can we have the list of all?
Yes, so would you like me to go back to the
Yes,
poll?
please.
Okay,
Thank you. If we can,
and is this the correct poll?
I guess so, yes, yes.
Okay,
There's like a list of 10, more or less, yeah, like. Just 1 or 2 minutes to think of like what is important for us now, and then if you want to share with the.
would you like me to provide the link to our Zoom?
Please.
I'm so sorry.
Password for HAYVN Best.
Smile more.
That was easy. It's gonna be much more fun.
Yeah. It's fine, we're gonna make it fun anyway. Anyone wants to share in the audience, like what values they speak and how do you think you can activate it?
I think that for a lot of this, like, we're interested in most of these things, or all of them. I would think, like, right, the audience is generally interested in all these items, but I don't know, that really helps.
Because if you had to prioritize one.
Yeah, but
Do we
if
have-
prioritize, like,
I
what
mean,
if like
do we
it's
have
2 or
to? Yeah.
3?
Yeah.
2 or 3.
So I think truthfulness is very important,
Yeah.
especially in an age where so much information is being bombarded to people, okay? At the end of the day, it's what are you delivering? So you pick what is important to you and what your competencies can deliver. So a woman-owned business can be delivering a woman-owned product. If you fall into the category of Black-owned, you happen to be that. If you produce in the United States, you can check off that box. So you can, as an independent, when you're altruistic, you try to hit as many of those as you can. But unless you're a large corporation, impossible to capture every single one of those.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, it's awareness. So the truthfulness part comes in to the actual individual's conduct. And you can't force a person to do something. If they're going to do a Amazon one click behind anybody's back or whatever, they're doing that activity. And the packages are being delivered to their homes. If they consciously say, hey, I have an individual in front of me that is doing this amazing stuff, I would love to connect with this person in humanity, then that's the action that they take. But again, you cannot force that because it's becoming so big now that there's so much information out there and you can categorize all the information into like, you know, as you were saying, you know, use the term not offshore. What was the word that you used when people were looking to filter through on your website? A product is made responsibly. I mean, you can do all those filters. At the end of the day, you're just, again, you're buying one step removed from the human. So I think it's really important to connect with the humans around you, right? And locally.
So I totally agree, and I think a big part of buying is understanding the founder's story. So that's one thing we do try to highlight, and I think another part of this is actually trusting the information. What I didn't mention is the work, we've worked very closely with the University of Virginia and the Baton School of Public Policy. So a brand will tell us what their values are. That doesn't mean that we'll show them to you, the consumer, without just doing any work. So
Right.
for example, someone can say, oh yeah, of course our products are cruelty free. Well, through our work with the University of Virginia, we've said actually, no, we're only going to show cruelty free to the consumer if it's certified cruelty free by one of two organizations that we vetted through this framework and trust. On the other hand, founder identity, there is no certification for LGBTQ owned, right? Or veteran owned, right? So why we are not going to require a certification. If a brand says we're veteran owned, we'll show you that this is a veteran owned brand or women owned, whatever it is, right? So I think there is a scale where you can ensure that you're reporting the truth. And behind the scenes, in addition to being able to filter and make it personalized, we also want to make sure that reliable information about a brand is all aggregated in one place for you to see. I think the most underrated quality that a lot of brands have is their donations to nonprofits. And it's all part of their story on their website and a big part of their story. And a lot of these brands are giving 10% of their profits to nonprofits. And we don't know about it. And all of those nonprofits really align with their brand values as well. And so I think, just even seeing that this brand gives back, that's indirect charitable giving that we're all effectively participating in when we're buying that product. And again, that's just part of understanding yourself as a consumer. So truthfulness, skinning it down because there is so much greenwashing, and understanding the founder behind the product, I think are three things that are important to us as well in setting up this marketplace. My kids are obsessed with Prime, I'm sure. This is a huge thing right now. It's so ridiculous. And I was looking at the bottle and I was like, oh, this is B Corp. It is not. It's a circle with a B in it. It says it has vitamin B in it. And it's just a great example of how even I know what the B Corp symbol is, like a lot of, am in this day in, day out. And I was like, oh, it's B Corp certified. It's just another form of greenwashing. You almost can't even trust, like if you see a bunny on a bottle or if you see a bee with a circle on a bottle, you can't trust it. You have to make sure that what you're buying about the brand is actually kind of vetted and accurate. But also a lot of people don't,
Independently.
a lot of people don't care about that. A lot of my friends are like, is this clean? I'm like, yeah. They're like, great, I'll buy it. I'm like, well. So there is a fine line there where consumers need to have accurate, reliable, trustworthy information, but not too much of it. Right, it has to be really easy to digest.
Thank you, that's great. Really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
But you know, to your point, if for you it's important to support your local vendors, then that's a value that you are deeply committed, and it's good that you activate on that, because you have the power to, again, give power to your community, to those specific individuals that you connected with. So that's another way of conscious consumerism that can make a big change and impact.
I'll just say that there's a Gandhi quote that gives me hope sometimes. You know, he said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And you know, the disinformation and greenwashing, I mean, that's the fighting part, you know, because they're not ignoring you anymore. They're not laughing at you anymore. They know that these things are important, and they know that consumers and people are really interested in them, and they're fighting it, you know, and then, you know, hopefully the rest of us win.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a long struggle, and you know, but that's, you know, it is, you know, that in a way, that greenwashing and the disinformation that comes out, and the articles that get written and supported by fossil fuel companies and things, you know, they're just complete rubbish. All of that is a sign that they know that they're in trouble. A little bit of something to take from that.
Yeah, and I guess as you to touch base on, like, in the area of like social media, the internet, like, and all the information that we are bombarded at, I think that is the negative aspect. But on the other hand, if we want to make really informed decisions, at least now we have the chance to educate ourselves and make decisions that really go according to what we believe. And the power of that, the downside, sorry, of that is that probably it's gonna take more time for us to make decisions, but it's gonna be better informed decisions. So sometimes it's better, like, you know, like to spend a few more minutes, like doing research or like going through the certifications and realizing that crime is not a big goal, but like, you know, like in the rush of the moment, times we make bad decisions. So being a conscious consumer is about not taking rash decisions, but like taking the time to really like, okay, what I'm doing is supporting like the values that I really care. I'm just on the rush of the moment and calling Amazon and like have delivered like their toilet papers at my house or whatever, because or like, do I want to support my local vendor that has it there? So I guess that is probably some trade-off that we need to invest more time on the decisions that we. But if we do that, then more and more we're going to have companies listening and providing innovative products and innovative materials for us to have different alternatives.
You know, curious with the definition being so broad, like sustainability, conscious consumerism, is there any research that you know what that would be the gateway to beginning that lifestyle? My assumption would be organic food, but that anyone can speak of that really is, again, the gateway opener. And it might be actually starting with the cars of the past, say, 4 years, because e-cars have.
Yeah, it could be that. I wonder, you know, for me, it takes me a little while to sort of be able to articulate this, but for me, it's the next 100 billion people are going to be on this planet, you know, that aren't even born yet, you know, generations from now. And I feel that it's my responsibility to leave the planet in as good or better shape than I got it, if I can. This is our job, you know, and it's not only, like you were saying in the very beginning, it's not necessarily just, you know, greenhouse gases, but you know, our systems of governance should be better, our medical and our education should be better. There's all of these things that should be as good or better than when we got them. And you know, our freedoms and all of that. So if we can, you know, so I use that as my sort of, you know, idea of what sustainability is, because we have to sustain the system for all of these people. And it's all of those things too. It's not just the you know, planet and environment, the whole package. So I think if that, and if you look at us as human beings, you know, over the last, you know, 150,000 years or whatever, that's been the job of each generation to make the, you know, take care of the next generation, raise them, teach them the things that they need to survive. inculcate the social systems that will make that group, that tribe work and function really well. And to, maintain their ecosystem, their environment, so that there's plenty of game and there's food sources and, all of that for the next generation. That's been our traditional role each generation going on. So this is just the same idea, but on a bigger planetary level. Because now we all know that we're on this little blue marble floating around out there,
This might not be a popular view, but I think sustainability is a washing term now because people throw it around so much. Like if I had to fill out my number one thing on this list, it's actually not even on here. I care really intensely about reef safe sunscreen. I make my kids read the packaging. We've seen the coral reefs and whatever, like we've seen the dead coral reefs and the live coral reefs, and I find it to be really scary that these things are happening. And so that's sort of my passion for how in our family we're really drawing the line. And we're only buying reef safe sunscreen. And so I think to answer your question, that's our gateway, but the gateway might be different for everyone. Like, we have a real problem with cosmetic waste, like 100 billion tons per year of waste just from the cosmetic industry. So maybe the gateway for someone in this room is to say, okay, I'm going to use, reusable packaging for whatever I'm going to buy, whether it's a face mask or makeup or shampoo, it doesn't matter. Used like boxed packaging instead of plastic packaging. I think you can make anything your gateway. I think it just depends on what you personally care about. And that's kind of our whole piece as well about consumers. Like, we don't want to feed you what's the right thing to do, because you can start anywhere. And like just spending $1 slightly differently today will make a difference. And the other thing is we're never going to beat Amazon. But as long as you're buying the products that you care about and it's coming from Amazon, that's fine. If you're also finding products that are not on Amazon but are meeting your needs, that's great. So it has to incorporate what tools we have already.
Yes, I guess the answer is that there's no one quick solution. Like you go to bed and next day you wake up, you decide to do 2 things, and then that's the magic.
I thought maybe more it would have been food, because food, we need food and water, so but again, if there was any research, so say they started with food, organic, I don't want to go natural, but organic, say the products, that gateway opener. But that was.
I think today
But
food
it's
is so
more advanced
expensive,
today, yeah.
even organic food, that like people who might have previously even bought organic are now maybe not. So I would guess that if food used to be the gateway, it might not be anymore, unless you're buying like from a local farmer, like
Good point.
on the side of the road. I think that's where people might have to sacrifice. Just because of the cost today. But there are things that are more cost effective that you can do switch to that will meet your.
Or maybe it's like I just saw that, like people will start solar panels, that's another, that then went into say vibrate marketplace, but they started their home situation.
I think those are the first adopters, right?
Yeah.
But what we're looking for in the bell curve, we're looking for that middle 80%, who I don't have solar panels, I have an SUV. Like, I have to apologize for, but that's not where we can start. That's not where I we have this big joke, like with our employees called 5:30 after dark. My engineer is like, I love using paper towels. Like, well, because we'll all have something that, but that doesn't mean it excludes you from making really positive changes in other areas.
I would say in comes capitalism, every time you make a purchase, you're voting for the kind of world that you want, right?
Right.
So I love the way you built this aggregation tool, because it takes out the time involved in making those decisions. I'm wondering about 2 things. Success stories. Have you had a long enough runway to say that you've been partly responsible for cultivating these industries or these businesses that are fit into the whole, this piece? And two, how does it work? You know, like from a search engine or a point of view, is the algorithm visible, or is it, how does it work behind the scenes? I'm curious.
So so we're still early days. So I would love to be able to measure the impact of our purchases, but we're still like very beginning of our journey. The one thing that was really important to us as we started was actually making this really easy for small businesses to join our platform. So we built the technology where you connect to us as a small business, because all these businesses, you know, 5 people, right? They're wearing 1,000 hats and they don't have time to do anything. So I don't want them to, you know, if you have to change your prices, if you've sold out of something, I don't want them to have to call me, be like, hey, here's a new CSV file. So we built a pretty sophisticated technology so that they download our app and it's real-time connections. And so that's actually powering all of these small vendors who are not on Amazon, who are on our site. We have 150,000 products on our site, Amazon, Thrive Market, and all these vendors who are on Shopify. And so basically you're effectively like shopping off their individual websites if you went and found them all. And it's powered by Shopify as their platform. So we're connecting to them behind the scenes, which is how you're able to see their products. It's one click checkout through Shop Pay. So you're not checking out on our site. We're not doing warehousing, shipping, logistics, or anything. It's all like kayak, right, for social impact products. And so the search engine, you know, is not as sophisticated as Google, but what we've tried to prioritize are small vendors on Shopify over products that you would find on Amazon. And what we thought was really important is saying, okay, well, I care about cruelty-free, but I'm searching for beard oil. So you should be able to type in beard oil, get results of beard oil, and then say, I want either made in USA or cruelty-free or Black owned or all 3. Click those and it filters and resorts like what you want in your beard oil search or your shampoo search, right? If I wanted cruelty-free beard oil today in the absence of HAYVN, I know I want beard oil, and Leaping Bunny is giving a list of 3,000 cruelty-free brands. That's not helpful, right? It's going to take you hours to figure out which ones sell beard oil. And then compare them across the different websites. Like, so we've tried to do all that for you. And that's why our search engine is like our search engine is pulling all of those products together across a variety of businesses and Amazon and Thrive Market and allowing you to compare. Does that answer your question?
Sure. I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, deselect all of the misinformation, all of the marketing messages that are trying to get your attention somehow, and hoping that sort of crap is filtered out, you know.
Yeah. Do you have the presentation?
Yeah, I
Actually,
can go back.
Can you go back to the presentation, the second page of it? Okay, so this is what you'll see. And I don't know if you guys can even see this. I'll just, like, if you're looking at a product, these are the things that you'll see underneath it. You'll know if there's a little leaf here, it's certified cruelty-free, and we verified with the organization that's cruelty-free. Cruelty-free, I would say, is actually 80% of the time the number one thing that we don't accept, because they say they're cruelty-free, but we haven't been able to verify it with the organizations. So you know that if this has a leak, that we've certified it with the organization, with our software. And this one happens to be women owned and sustainable packaging. Those aren't certified by an organization per se, but they do meet our logic tests that we've worked on with the University of Virginia. So we feel comfortable showing them to you as a consumer. So this is the snapshot you'll get of this particular company for each product that you search for. Now, if you're looking for shampoo, these are all the results you're going to get in the filter. You can sort of see at a quick glance, okay, this covers all 6 values, like all 6 categories that we just talked about. Like, it is planet friendly, it has a diverse founder, whatever it is.
And then you can get even more detail about like which values it has. And then you can also even get more detail about the founder if you want. But the idea is you should be able to search for these shampoo, because you're just looking for shampoo. And then there's filters and you can filter out which values you really care about or don't care about, whatever.
Is that based on self-reporting?
Uh,
To the vendors do it or do you?
No,
verify it,
so
or-
we verify, so we have software that verifies all this, with, and the logic, again, each one of those 6 categories, if you want to go back one slide, there's logic that we have worked on with the University of Virginia to say, okay, if for founder identity, we're going to accept whatever the brand reports. Now, I am on the phone with every single founder, where, I know who the founder is, right? So there is a level of due diligence behind that. We learn about the products. Ethical production is the exact opposite. We'll take what the founder says for how they identify. We do not take what the founder says for ethical production. We have identified just a handful of organizations that we trust. And you must be certified by one of those organizations for us to report you as either fair or cruelty free. It's very complicated, and we've done a lot of work with it with an external organization. So it's not just me saying, trust me, we've done the work, right? It's their school of public policy that's worked on this framework with us. Our software verifies it in 2 minutes with us. So like we've just put the technology power behind it. And that way we've said, okay, the things that we've approved through our logic and framework, through our software and through our team, we're going to show you, and we feel comfortable that that's reliable and trustworthy information because of all of these things that we've put in place. But yeah, I mean, is it perfect? No, but it's as close as we can get for now.
Well,
So. Felicia is. Sorry, I understand. No, it's fine. We can talk for hours. So before wrapping up, I want to give Gavin 1 minute to talk about his book because it's here for all of us. I think it's outside, right? If you want to take a copy of it, but
Signed copy too.
yeah.
Yeah. So
What
there's,
better-
so this is my book. It's altruistic business, why conscious businesses outperform the competition. So it's really just explaining why, so we have all the typical myth is that the altruistic business or the business that's, trying to do good stuff won't do as well as the business that's just being cutthroat and fully self-interested, right? However, it's that idea of like the nice guy, finishes last, right? So the nice person in a group of selfish actors will finish last. However, a group of altruistic individuals will outperform a group that has a bunch of selfish actors in it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, essentially what we're doing here, what you're doing is, forming a group that cares about a set of things. And that group will outperform other groups that have selfish actors in them that don't care about, don't have group synergy that cares about them. So that's a simple summary of what's in the book. Examples, things about stories we did in our company.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love to finish like that. I always say to my kids, when you have to choose between being right or kind, always go kind.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the power of making the right decisions. And what we wanted to bring today is again 2 examples of committed individuals, committed consumers, committed business leaders that are like trying to generate a change. So if we internalize that concept and we actively enough and we generate a community of altruism together, we can really generate change. So thank you for participating. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
So thank you so much for this. And you guys we can continue. We have a little food. We actually have pencils.